Once again, it's time to close out 2024 on a high note. So, joining me for part two of our reflection of the New Jersey Devils 2024 calendar year is my colleague over at Pucks and Pitchforks, Joseph Stanislaw, aka Jersey Joe. There's a whole lot to discuss in the finale of the 2024 calendar year. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils are Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Once again, part two of my discussion with Jersey Joe as we reflected on the 2024 calendar year for the New Jersey Devils. I wanted to give you guys a couple specials to close out the calendar year. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and thank you for spending your New Year's Eve with me and Jersey Joe over here at Locked On Devils. So without further ado, here's part two of my discussion with Jersey Joe. Take it away. Okay. Like I said, final episodes of 2024. Let's reflect a little bit more in detail of 2024 and not just like bounce off one another topic to topic like we normally do. Let's have some structure right now.
All right.
Okay. What was your favorite memory of 2024?
Jiminy Christmas. Oh.
Okay, we only got an hour time.
Finding out that the Devils picked Anton Solayev. I did not expect him to be there at 10. I expected him to be there at 9. So I was expecting him to go to the team before us. I was absolutely floored that we got him because I knew that we needed a big guy that could be big and physical, but also could hammer home offensively. I just felt like the Devils got like their golden goose moment at the draft.
You know what? I agree with you. I think my favorite moment, I love to travel. That's the thing. Like, I've traveled all across the country covering the Devils. And, I've always wanted to go to Los Angeles, went to Los Angeles. But I think just going to Vegas and covering the draft was one of my favorite memories because I got the life of an insider. Like, I spoke to Tom Fitzgerald the night before the draft. And I said, Fitzy, what are we doing? He said, we're picking. And I said, can I please share that on social media? Then he turned back around and he rephrased it and he looked at me with a smile. He was like, I think we're picking. So I could tweet it out because now it's like now he just changed his words saying, I think we're picking. Because he knew that, but he's a great guy like that. Or I got to ask Martin Brodeur. I was like, "Hey, Marty, who has called you Satan's wallpaper?" And he was like, "Other than Jeopardy, nobody's ever called me Satan's wallpaper." So just growing in general, and growing this show in more ways than one has been one of my favorite things to do. And seeing obviously Locked On Devils is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and just seeing what some of the Locked On NFL hosts do, the Locked On NBA hosts do, a lot of them are credentialed and, going to the arenas, going to the stadiums, covering the team. I was like, wait a minute, I could do that. So, and here I am 2 years later with a credential. It's been a lot of fun just growing this show in more ways than one, and I couldn't have imagined it a few years ago, and it doesn't happen without my audience. So thank you to my audience.
Welcome. So, what's the next one on your list?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. I think I'm going to go back to the East Coast in late January, cover some Devils games there, but also go to Wells Fargo Center, where the Philadelphia Flyers play. maybe do an episode from there. And also, this is not confirmed. This is not confirmed. Hopefully, this does not come back to bite me. But I'm hoping to go to Four Nations, at least for the games in Boston. I don't think I can make Montreal work, but obviously, Four Nations has taken place in 2 cities, Montreal and Boston. So I really hope I could go to TD Garden and cover Four Nations there.
If you're going from Philly or DC or New York, take the Amtrak to Boston.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, my brother lives in Boston. I'm not gonna reveal anything more, but he lives in Boston, so it's all good for me. And yeah, I've taken the Amtrak train from where I live to Washington D.C. That was a lot of fun going to Capital One Arena. I would say this might come to a surprise to some people, but maybe it was just because it was opening night and the Capitals were celebrating their 50th year in the NHL, but it was one of the loudest arenas I've ever been to. Capital One Arena.
So was Vegas.
Vegas is the loudest one by far. By far. Next time I go, I need earplugs.
Yeah, and then if you go to Winnipeg, you're definitely going to need earplugs, big time.
Okay. What was your least favorite memory?
Least favorite memory of last season of 2024?
2024 in general. It could be from a couple weeks ago.
Anytime dealing with the Rangers. I couldn't stand them. I couldn't stop hearing the chirps. I couldn't stop seeing too many people with summer wearing blue, white, and red. Now it's night and day where there's not many people wearing the blue, white, and red proudly anymore. There's a lot of like unhappy Ranger fans now, but also like I don't see as many Flyer people wearing Flyer stuff because they're not doing that well. So just seeing the opposite end of the spectrum flip. So it's like I expected the Devils to be better this year. I expected Carolina to be really good this year. And I didn't expect the Capitals to be where they are, but I expected them to be a playoff team. I didn't think they would be this good.
Hey,
but
wait. Okay, so there's about what, 40 games remaining in the regular season? Just about?
Yeah.
Ovechkin's breaking that goal record this year.
Yeah.
Book it. I don't know why people are saying he's gonna have to wait till next year. I'm like, he very much well can break it. It's just if he gets a couple hat tricks here or there, he's gonna break it.
He's a determined man. I mean, you don't see that many really good Russian players built like him.
No.
And even with the way he is, like body weight and all that, he can still do it.
He's getting older, Joe.
Yeah,
Joseph, he's getting older.
I know that, but he's built like a tank, and he's gonna do it.
Right.
And there's not many players that can do it at his age. He's gonna be the great one for a reason.
No. The great eight. The great eight. You're gonna
the great eight for a reason.
The great eight, not the great one. You're gonna piss off so many Edmonton fans, and I don't want to deal with the Edmonton discourse again.
You know, it's funny how like everyone is, but at the same time, McDavid's going to be their best player since that guy. But guy breaking the goal record is the great one in the goals category.
The great eight, yes. But when they do introduce Ovechkin at Capital One Arena, they do say the great Alexander Ovechkin. Before we continue with today's episode alongside Jersey Joe, let me tell you guys about Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even know I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon once again. All right, let's get back to our discussion with Jersey Joe to close out 2024. Take it away once again.
But you know what? When I was a kid, I remember on SportsCenter when there was a commercial for Ovechkin. Well, two of them. The first one was he's a prospect and he's shooting Russian dolls filled with Russian dressing. And he goes, "You missed one." And he bombs the last one and it breaks. And then the second one was him and I think it was Semyon Varlamov. And they're doing a little checking file cabinets. And the other guy, the one of the broadcasters, goes in, "Hey, Ovi, what are you, a Russian spy or something?" And then just checking late night files. And then I was like, "All right, Ovi, I'm out." And then now they switch to speaking in Russian and goes, "Breslo, da, jest padia." Like, "Oh, that was a close one. Yeah, give me the rope." And then they slide Ovi up.
Unfortunately, I don't think that type of commercial could air nowadays. But
no,
that's
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, but it will never ever air on television again.
No, that's how old I am.
But going back to something more positive, okay, so that's your least favorite memory. What is my least favorite memory? I enjoy doing this so much. I guess having to travel in 3 different cities in 3 different days, that really took a toll on me, because what had happened was I was in St. Louis covering the ASU women's ACHA tournament, and they went further in the tournament than anticipated. So I stayed an extra day. I was supposed to get back. I was going to Arizona State at the time, so I was supposed to go back to Phoenix on Friday, but obviously pushed it back to early Saturday morning. So I fly back privately after the tournament concluded. Then I got to Arizona like really early in the morning. And then I covered the Coyotes and Devils game later that night. And then the very next morning, flew to Vegas for the Golden Knights and Devils game. And the thing is, I had already done a lot of traveling because I had traveled with the Devils to California. I went to Florida for a vacation. And now I'm in St. Louis for the ACHA National Tournament. Then Coyotes, Devils, then going back to Vegas. At that point, I was getting tired of the airport.
I knew you were getting worn out. I could just like every time you either texted me or you would be talking on the podcast, you're like just I'm done. Like,
No, Vegas, I was definitely done. Like I was a ghost. I was there, but I wasn't. It was just like and the thing is, I love Vegas. I have my restaurants, my clubs I love to go out to, but I'm like, I don't want to stay the night here. I am getting out first chance I get.
Me, like if it was me in Vegas, I would definitely do both days of the draft, but it would be the amount of hotel nights that you'd end up paying for. So if I had to use all my rewards, I would do it, but I'd rather save it for another trip elsewhere. But I enjoyed watching the Latvia win over Canada recently in the World Juniors. And one of the top 2 goalies in this year's draft, Ivankovic, is one of the top 2 for Canada. And then he got bested by a non-top rated goalie in Leonards Feldbergs from Latvia. And they went all the way to 8 rounds in the shootout. And the other kid, Matveiko, scored the only goal. And Feldbergs, yes, he lost to Team USA the next game. Canada, like, they missed a lot of really good players on that team Like Zane Pereg was a couple of like one of those guys that they could have had on that team that would have made a bigger difference. But I mean, Gavin McKenna is a really good player. But I will say this: Latvia is the hardest working team in the World Juniors. Yes, they lost to Team USA badly, but USA is freaking loaded with quality guys. So if there's going to be a interesting team for the World Juniors, I mean, it's probably going to end up being USA Canada, but I think Latvia is going to be a dark horse.
I take your word over when it comes to international play, because you're obviously the expert in that field. So whenever I have a question about like international play or prospects in general, I always go to you because you're more of an expert than anyone that I know.
I mean, as someone who has been in that business for quite some time, when you go up against the best players and your peers and you do well against that top player, to me, I said to Jack Schiller that night, I said, if this game shows that this unranked goaltender can play with pace for pace, save for save with that top ranked goalie, I'm looking at rounds 3 through 6 for that player. I would love the Devils to give that guy a chance. Worst comes to worst, that guy marinates for a little bit. But it all depends on what Marty Brodeur thinks, because he's the goalie guy for the Devils, and then they still have Rogalski as the goalie coach. So Scott Clemson, I think, is still with the team. So there's all that other aspects that's in it. So, and I know the Devils have a good presence in Europe, especially with Dino Zubris in Lithuania, doing the Lithuanian Federation, the Hockey Federation. I mean, he was just on a Washington Capitals YouTube channel for the Capitals end, and he was talking about how he's been growing hockey in Lithuania. But anyways, I mean, he's been working at that. So I'm happy to see a Baltic nation, because I have roots in Lithuania, but also Latvia is our brother. So I'm always happy to see a country like Latvia do well in a bigger tournament.
Now, I guess this leads to the final part of our discussion, which is we look forward to 2025. Obviously, we could talk about the anticipated playoff run by the Devils. If obviously they haven't clinched anything yet, but if all goes well and everything has been going well, they're going to be a playoff team. Let's look at Four Nations real quick. Who you got?
I have USA versus Finland.
What?
I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting.
Okay. USA I can understand, but why Finland?
They got a lot of hard-working players and scorers. I think because Sweden is always good offensively, sometimes their guys can be a little bit older at times. I just think, Finland and Sweden, they get underestimated, but they are really big rivals. And when they play against each other, they play their very best. And this is usually very entertaining. I mean, Canada's always going to be number 2, number 1. But I just find with those 4 teams, Finland may not be the sexiest, but they're going to be the greatest, most interesting of the 4. But when it comes to the younger guys, they tend to do a lot better. And they have produced a lot of quality goalies.
I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Team Finland, and I think they all know that. I say Team USA is going to win the whole thing. I have the utmost confidence in my country because they got a lot of good players. You obviously got the Hughes brothers, the Chuck brothers,
Adam Fox.
You got Fox. You got the reigning Vezina Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuck, and the big guy from Toronto, Austin Matthews.
Yeah. Canada to keep up with on the firepower. I mean, Canada's always going to have great players. Just the thing is, when I watch Canada the past couple of years, from the juniors to international IHF, sometimes you have too many A-list players. They try and play their game versus playing a team game. And so that's one of the things that I kind of see with the top players playing with each other because they're used to playing against each other. So there's kind of like there's a bit of like, no, I want to shoot the puck. No, I want to score that goal. The goalie wants to be his very best, but sometimes you might fall victim to your overall game or your other teammates' game. So it's a matter of being well together chemistry wise, and how can the coaching be? But for me, like I never underestimate a Finland Sweden game. Those two guys, those two teams, those two nations hit each other in hockey, but they're brothers outside of it.
Like I said, I know Team USA. I think Team USA is the favorites to win this tournament. According to Nick Villano of Pucks Pitchforks, when he was correcting one of my articles, Team Canada. I know they got Connor McDavid, obviously, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, but their goaltending that might kill them.
Yeah, this is why I'm not crazy about Canada going deep, but this is why I think an underrated team like Sweden or Finland can actually be like besting the North Americans.
No,
is playing more defensively together.
I don't see it. I especially don't. With all due respect, Joseph, I do not see Finland making any noise in this tournament. It's going to be an uphill battle for them.
Now, here's the kicker. If Finland does better than last place, I want you to go on air and eat a bag of salamaki, very bitter licorice from Finland. You're going to have to do it.
All right, fine. If Finland finishes ahead of if they do not finish in last place, I will eat what you just said, the salamaki.
It's a very dark licorice. It's very popular. Or you have to drink Juhlamokka, Juhlamokka. It's a Finnish coffee brand in Finland.
Well, I like coffee, so you know.
So you're gonna have to drink it out of air.
Okay. But if Finland does finish in last place, you got to do it.
You know what? I'm definitely going to have to do something for that one. I got to get myself, let's see, some sort of licorice. I'm going to have to get like Swedish fish or something.
No. Come on, man. That's too easy. That's too easy. You can go to the gas station and get Swedish fish. That's too easy. They're sweet. It's a candy that everyone loves. That's too easy.
Or the equivalent of that.
No, you got to eat something bitter. If I have to do it,
I'm going to find something pretty bitter.
I'll choose it. I will choose it. I will choose it for you.
Send it to me.
I will choose it for you because you are not getting out of this one easy.
You see, at least we hold each other accountable on both ends.
Yes, there's no way I'm letting you pick Swedish fish or the equivalent of it. No, you're not getting out of I ain't stupid. All right.
You're good.
All right. Looking forward to that. Obviously, we'll have a lot of coverage for Four Nations, but Jersey Joe, final few episodes, 2024 in the books. Any final thoughts before we head into 2025?
Final thoughts are New Jersey Devils are where they should be, not where they weren't. So I would say Coach Keefe gets an A+ in my book. Jeremy Colleton, A- right now. I like the way he's doing things with the offense. I just think that there's a little bit on the bottom six needs to work with. Defensive side, I would have to grade. I have to give
Ryan
the
McGill,
defensive coach Ryan McGill, an A- right now. I mean, or actually an A+ rather, because the past couple of games he's been turning this team around. Rogalski, I give him a A- for the goalies right now. Tom Fitzgerald should be getting an A right now.
Absolutely.
So I'm just giving it my fair weight. What about you?
I think Sheldon Keefe has done a phenomenal job. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I know Craig Berube is doing really well with the Maple Leafs right now, but honestly, I think you could put Lindy Ruff in Toronto and they'd still perform really well. Playoffs, that's going to be a different animal. I think Sheldon Keefe, he was unfairly let go by Toronto. I think that was dumb of them to do. I know things didn't really go all that well during the playoffs from an offensive standpoint, but I'm just like, they forced it to game 7 after being in a 3-1 hole, and they didn't have Austin Matthews for a few games, might I add. So that's adaptability right there. The fact that you did not have your star player, and yet you still were able to weasel your way out and force it to game 7, that's incredible right there. So Sheldon Keefe, I know NHL teams recycle coaches more than a recycling plant. Because Todd McClellan, like, he's now with the Red Wings, and I don't know where Lalonde is going to end up, but I can assure you, next team that fires their head coach, I think Lalonde will be behind the bench.
Now, I want you to go on Netflix. Look up Don Cherry, the hockey story, Wrath of Grapes, Don Cherry story. There's a saying, coaches are hired to be fired. And Scott Mellenby said that, or one of the characters in the show said that. And it's a really good show. I want everyone to watch because that phrase, let alone hired to be fired, still resonates to this day with me when I hear it. So every time I hear a coach getting fired or let go, I think of that show when Jared Keeso's playing a young Don Cherry. So you should watch it. It's a very good show, and it's pretty entertaining, and it's got some of the old school hockey stories with him and Ron McLean. And of course, Don Cherry at one time was the New Jersey Devils coach when they, I think, either in New Jersey or in Colorado. So anyways, I just want to throw a little bit of hockey history out there in that little segment. But that little thing of cinema never ages old on me.
Well, as we grow older, so do the years. The years progress by. I don't know. I was trying to think of something poetic on the spot. Jersey Joe, any final thoughts? 2025, right around the corner.
I say Devils are on pace for 114 points right now, a minimum of 106. Devils are going to add one or two pieces by the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to go do anything crazy because they're going to have to extend Luke and a few other guys long term. But please don't set your expectations too high in the offseason either, because the Caps only go up by a maximum of 5%. So you know what that means? No more Kovalchuk and no more dead cap space.
Absolutely. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of 2024. Thank you so much for making this year so great. And let's continue for bigger and better things in 2025. Once again, this is not my final episode ever. This is my final episode of 2024. Trey Matthews signing out. Everybody continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. Special thanks to Jersey Joe for taking the time to do this. Catch his work on Pucks and Pitchforks, and also follow him on the X Page app at JerseyJoe11_New Jersey. As for his episode, once again, continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I will see you in 2025. Thanks for listening once again.
And Happy New Year to those who see this being posted.